We have a YCS to recap in a second, but before we do, I want to quickly cover something that was announced over the course of, I don't even know, it was the weekend. I think it was like Friday or Thursday they announced it, but I haven't been streaming since. But I think it's a pretty cool thing that happened. And that is the announcement of the next core booster set in Chaos Origins. Which is the next core booster set after Blazing Dominion, which Blazing Dominion just came out in the OCG and is set to release in the TCG in like 2 months or something. And so not only do we have a couple of new cards to take a look at from this set, but I also want to mention that I really like the direction that this is going. Because as you can tell from the pack artwork, they are kind of like returning, and I guess this is also the reason why it's called Origins. They're returning to a very old thing that they used to do, which is this sort of like pack layout with like Yugioh and one of the monsters on the front of the pack, which is, as a certified Unk, I still remember very fondly of like all of the DM era booster packs, which had this exact like style. You know, you look at the first couple of boosters, it's always like Yugioh on them. And then, of course, eventually they stopped doing that with GX. But I think it's pretty cool. And I do think that this is a good thing for Yu-Gi-Oh! In general. One of the main things that I've been talking about recently, or in recent months and years at least, it's also not just me. It's like a very popular topic in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community, is like the collector's side of Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been struggling a little bit, and at the moment one of the main goals I feel like for Yu-Gi-Oh! In the current time is to make it more collectible and more like just attractive to all kinds of people, not just the people that play, which Yu-Gi-Oh! Is very awesome right now if you're playing it, but you know, we needed more collectible stuff like the full arts that we're getting, and now we're also getting a little bit more focus on some of the real OGs, nostalgic anime characters, and I think that's good. So let's take a quick look at the first couple of things that we know from Chaos Origins. And as we can already see, this is what I'm talking about. This is the kind of stuff that'll be collectible, you know? It doesn't even matter if these cards are good or not, you know? But if you release cards that look like this, people want them, you know? We're gonna have a retrain of the Black Magician of Chaos and the Blackluster Soldier Ritual. And these artworks are awesome. They don't even have to be good, but we're still gonna find out whether they're good or not. But stuff like this is awesome for the collectability of the game. So I'm already kind of excited about this kind of stuff. So we have a whole batch of new cards. We've got Black Chaos, the Ultimate Magical Swordsman is the first card we're gonna take a look at, which is a Dark Spellcaster level 8. Cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned from your hand by shuffling a spellcaster or warrior ritual monster from your hand or graveyard into the deck. You can only special summon Black Chaos, the Ultimate Magical Swordsman, once per turn this way. You can discard this card, place one continuous trap that mentions Ritual of Light and Darkness from your deck or graveyard on your face-up field, which I believe is also a new card. At least if it already exists, I'm not aware of it. So I think this is an entirely new archetype. Essentially around like the Dark Magician of Chaos and maybe Blackluster Soldier, which is cool. Basically Maiden of White too. The continuous trap thing gives me the vibe that they are trying to do like a similar concept to, you know, Dark Magician has True Light. No, Dark Magician has, what is it called? Eternal Soul? Blue Eyes has True Light, and then Dark Magician of Chaos and Blackluster get their own trap. Okay. So discard this card to place the trap. Unaffected by your opponent's activate card effects while you have a ritual spell in your grave, and once per turn you can banish 2 cards your opponent controls. Okay, so it's a decent start. If the deck is good, you would definitely play this card in it because it gets you access to the trap, and if you already have the trap, then you can summon it, and it's a decent card, especially going second. You know, it's fine. Nothing too crazy, but it's fine. Skull, Archfiend of Chaos, which is a Summon Skull retrain, which is awesome. Level 6 Dark Fiend. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. If this card is in your hand or grave, you can target 3 cards in the graveyard and or face up banishment, including a card that mentions Ritual of Light and Darkness other than Skull Archfiend of Chaos, place them on the bottom of the deck in any order, and if you do, special summon this card. If this card is sent to the grave, you can send a ritual spell from your hand or deck to the grave, add one ritual monster mentioned on it from your deck to your hand. Okay. That is interesting. That has a lot of interesting applications. Maybe even outside of a dedicated Ritual of Light and Darkness deck, because it's technically a generic ritual searcher. If you have a way to send it to the graveyard, you know, like you can search Habakiri with Armageddon Knight, I guess. You can go normal summon Armageddon Knight, send Skull Archfiend of Chaos, and then send Mitsurugi Mirror, and then add Habakiri from your deck to your hand. Now, why are you summoning Armageddon Knight instead of just summoning Manju? I don't know. Don't ask me that question. Probably not. This is not something you're going to use it for, but I'm just saying, like, oh yeah, Aerial Eater, I guess. Aerial Eater, Fiendsmith combo, you just Aerial Eater, send it, and then you can search Habakiri. Awesome. No. It's an interesting card. I think it's gonna be a little wacky to draw it, unless the deck has great ways to discard it. Because, of course, it is a level 6, so getting it into the graveyard is not trivial. The graveyard effect is very nice for recursion, and can also interrupt your opponent's graveyard a little bit. It is not a quick effect, so you can't like chain it when they're trying to revive something. But in the modern game, there's a lot of times where your opponent is going to have certain cards in the graveyard that are going to provide value later on. Like if they go Fallen and the Virtuous and send an Albion, you can put that back into the deck. If they have an Urgula waiting in the graveyard to return something next turn, you can put that back. You can disrupt stuff like Ecclesia or Cartesia as well. So there's a lot of applications for this card. Oh yeah, it's okay. I think if it was level 4, it'd be pretty insane. But yeah. Mystical Celtic Sage Light. Okay, Celtic Guardian retrain. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can activate this effect. You can only special summon from the extra deck once for the rest of this turn. Also reveal your entire hand. And if there's a card that mentions Ritual of Light and Darkness in it, you can draw 3 cards, then discard 2 cards. Okay. So about discarding this card, huh? You can tribute this card, special or ritual monster that mentions Ritual of Light and Darkness from your hand. Okay, so they put Graceful Charity on a normal summon. I mean, it could also be special summoned, I guess. It is a pretty hard lock, I will say. Like, only one special summon from the extra deck for the rest of this turn is a proper lock. So that's something to consider. And also, of course, you can only do this in a deck that consistently like 2 cards combos with this. This is the restriction of showing your opponent your entire hand and having to have another card that mentions the Ritual of Light and Darkness in it, I think is also something to like to consider. Those are real restrictions. You can't just play this in any deck that doesn't care about the extra deck, just draw 3, discard 2. You know, you do have to actually play a deck that can consistently reveal a card that mentions the thing. So yeah, it's interesting, but I think it's probably okay. Mitsurugi. I mean, yeah, you could do this in Mitsurugi, but the problem in Mitsurugi is like you need to have another card that mentions the thing, right? So like you'd have to play a proper package in Mitsurugi. It's not like you can just draw this card and resolve it. You do need to draw this card and another Ritual of Light and Darkness card to go with it. And even if you can search this card, that does not mean you're also automatically going to be able to resolve it. So, and I don't even know if it's going to be worth it to jump through all the hoops in other decks, because realistically what you're getting is draw 3, discard 2 at the end of your combo, or at some point in your combo, which is like fine, but I don't even know if that's going to be worth it per se, right? It's not like Because would you rather bridge into something like this that locks you into one more extra summon and draws you 3 discards too? When you could just make a Dugaris at this point, which is 1 less draw, 1 less discard. And Dugaris is essentially available to every single combo deck and does not require you to reveal your hand and does not require you to have another specific card in your hand to do it. And like, Dugaris has also been around for forever. Now you can argue whether you think Dugaris is healthy or not, but realistically, like the Dugaris is a lot easier to set up in other decks than this. So for the most part, you're just going to use this card in this deck. And in this deck, it is really strong, but maybe it's okay because it has proper restrictions, right? Gurifo. I love him. Dark Fiend, Kuribo Retrain. You can only use the first effect of this card's name once per turn. Quick effect, you can discard this card, then activate one of these effects. The next battle or effect damage you would take this turn becomes 0. Set 1 quick play spell or trap that mentions Ritual of Light and Darkness from your deck. It can be activated this turn. For the ritual summon of exactly 1 level 8 monster with a card effect that requires use of a tribute, this card can be used as the entire tribute. Okay. Now, I would guess that 99.9% of the time you would do this. But there is going to be random game states where this can matter. You know, like when you play against this deck, you're going to have to consider if you go for game, you know, will I have to like will I have to play through one of these or not, you know? It does allow you to play turn 0. That's true. I guess that really depends on the quality of the quick play spells of this deck, but that is potentially a hand trap if you can activate it and immediately do something with it. That could be very interesting. We have to keep that in mind. But yeah, okay. Here we have the new Black Chaos, the Dark Chaos Magician. The regular artwork, which is already pretty cool. I gotta admit, this is already a pretty cool looking card. But then you get this one and it's completely ridiculous how good this looks. Level 8 Dark Spellcaster Ritual, 2800 attack, 2600 defense. You can ritual summon this card with Ritual of Light and Darkness. You can only use the first and third effect of this card's name each once per turn. If this card is special summoned, you can add a spell from your grave to your hand. Okay, that's awesome. That's great flavor, right? That's just the Dark Magician of Chaos effect, but on a ritual monster. It's really powerful, but it's also really cool. I mean, the White Forest Synchro 8 also does this, and it's like, funnily enough, one of the least outrageous things in the White Forest deck is adding one of the spells back to the hand. So I think this is completely fine. But it is cool. Unaffected by your opponent's activated effects unless they target this card. Spells and traps you control cannot be destroyed or banished by your opponent's card effects. You can target one card your opponent controls, banish it face down. Because this third effect is not a quick effect, I would say overall this card is just okay. I would say like this doesn't feel that great. Like, okay, adding a spell from your grave to your hand is a good ability. We have to look at the spells in the archetype. Maybe they have some really good spells that are not once per turn that you can recycle. Maybe that's what makes it really good. The unaffected effect here is pretty fake because if you target this, it is affected. So like it's really easy to out for basically every deck. I can't think of a deck right now that has like really big problems of outing this. Like, yeah, sure, it's unaffected by like Mululu or Dracotail Pan, but then you can just pop it with Gulamel. Like basically every single deck has targeting removal, pretty much, right? Yeah. And then protecting your spell traps, I guess, is neat for stuff like Lightning Storm and whatever. So okay. We have no this is not a quick effect, so it's kind of whatever. The fact that it banishes face down is quite big actually. So if you summon this going second, being able to get rid of a resource forever is pretty solid. So it's not a bad card by any means. Mirror Jade can't out it. Well, you could attempt to just attack it with Mirror Jade because it is 2800. So I think you're gonna be fine. Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Light and Darkness. Once again, a really cool looking card, even in its regular form, but the full art goes crazy as well. We've got a level 8 Earth Warrior Ritual, of course. You can ritual summon this card with Ritual of Light and Darkness. You can only use the first and third effect of this card's name each once per turn. If this card is special summoned, you can target a card your opponent controls, banish it. Cannot be destroyed by battle, unaffected by your opponent activate its effect, unless they target this card. They probably have targeting protection somewhere. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can make it gain 1500 attack, and if you do, it can make a second attack in a row. Okay, this one has even less applications when you're going first. Like this one, at least, you know, adds a spell back and protects your back row. But both of these seem rather mediocre when you're going first, but then they get nice bonuses when going second, which is great, by the way. I think that's a great way to go about it. I love when they do that. I love when they make cards that are like okay, but they just get better when they're when you go second. I think that's a great way to balance going second in Yu-Gi-Oh in general. There's probably a way to ritual summon this on your opponent's turn to get the banish on your opponent's turn as a disruption, which is fine. I think that is also cool. I mean, a banish on the opponent's turn is nothing too crazy, so I think that's fine. And also this does mean that these are both unaffected by something like Forbidden Droplet, which is one of the more popular breakers or ways you would stop this on your own turn. As well as just like general negation, right? Like if your opponent has, I don't know, it's Master Duel exclusive, but Baron de Fleur, for example, cannot negate these because it doesn't target. So that's neat. Okay, here we have the ritual spell, Ritual of Light and Darkness. You only use the second effect once per turn. Ritual summon one of these two. Ritual summon a Black Chaos, the Dark Chaos Magician, or Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Light and Darkness from your hand by attributing monsters from your hand or field and or banishing monsters from your grave whose total level equal or exceed its level. If this card is in your grave, you can add it and one card that mentions Ritual of Light and Darkness from your grave to your hand. Ooh. That's a high quality ritual spell. Because the first part is not once per turn. So you can only recycle it once per turn, but realistically, you still get to do it a bunch of times that way. Just getting it and any card that mentions the ritual back from the grave is really, really strong. Now, to be fair, like, rituals do need this sort of stuff because, of course, the ritual mechanic is very weak, all things considered. So every single ritual deck, if it wants to be playable, needs to have some sort of way to cheat the really negative, like, mechanic of the rituals. So, like, you need this sort of stuff to make these cards even remotely viable. But this is a really high quality ritual spell, even for modern ritual standards. It's not as good as Mitsurugi Ritual, I would say, but it is pretty strong. But yeah. One quick clarification: if this is in your grave, you can banish this as the entire tribute, right? This effect also applies while it's in the graveyard. It's like Shurrit from the Necros, right? The same wording. Yeah, okay. Because I remember some cards, like the new Necros need to be on the field, I think, to be the full tribute, but Shurrit, I think, didn't. So I wasn't sure what the wording was. But yeah, for the ritual summon of exactly one, yeah, it counts. Okay, that's neat. Okay, we have Mystic Box Retrain. Oh, I think this is awesome. I think all the retrains of these iconic cards is awesome. All right, Mystic Box of Chaos, quick play spell. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets another card you control, return one of those cards you control to the hand. If it's set, reveal it. And if you do destroy a card on the field, then you can special a monster that mentions Ritual of Light and Darkness from your hand with a different name from the returned card, ignoring its summoning conditions. If this card is destroyed by your opponent, you can special summon a ritual monster that mentions Ritual of Light and Darkness from your hand or deck. This card is very fun. So the way I interpret this, the way this card is supposed to work, and of course it has more applications, but because both of the ritual monsters are basically unaffected unless you target them, you are forcing your opponent to target them if they want to remove them, unless they can run over them. Of course, that's the other thing. But let's say they're trying to interact with you in the main phase, they're trying to clear your board. they have to target these guys, otherwise they are unaffected. And so the way I interpret this is going first, you summon this guy, which protects your spell traps, so they can't simply like destroy this card first. They have to get rid of this guy first. And then when they target this guy to get rid of it, you activate this card to dodge the targeting. You return this guy back to your hand. You basically tag out the Black Chaos, the Dark Chaos Magician, and you tag in the Black Luster Soldier, Soldier of Light and Darkness from your hand. You get the pop from this card, destroy one card on the field. And then, because you special summon the Black Luster Soldier, you are able to banish a card your opponent controls. So it's a really cool interaction, I feel like, between those. And then if you ever don't have the protection from the Black Chaos, the Dark Chaos Magician, and your opponent destroys this, it's kind of like a mini Waking the Dragon as well, right, for this deck, which I think is cool. Yo, Nibiru Token, thank you for the 5 gifties. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you. And Bearded Puck, thank you for the 14 months as well. Okay, this card seems fun. This card seems fun. I like that. Okay, ooh, we got magical hats, chaos hats on a spell card now. Quick play spell. I wonder how they retrain magical hats, because that's such a wacky card with how it works. When your opponent activates a normal spell trap card or a monster effect, choose 3 spell traps with different names from each other from your deck and a monster in your main monster zone that mentions Ritual of Light and Darkness. If you do, special summon the chosen traps as normal monsters whose name is Chaos Hats in face down defense position. Set the chosen monster, shuffle them on the field. Then your opponent's activated effects becomes destroy one opponent's set monster. Dude, this card is awesome. And this card is really funny, but it's good, no? Like this is a good card. Because once again, this is essentially a negate, right? This is a negate because you are changing your opponent's effect. Whatever your opponent's originally trying to do is not happening, right? Your opponent activates Upstart Goblin. You chain this, your opponent does not draw a card. Instead, they destroy one of your set monsters, which is then random because you have 3 spell traps and a monster. And now the thing is, we already have seen one card here, the Mystic Box of Chaos, that I think is good enough for this deck to definitely play. And then this is one card already that you can set that will, if they destroy it, will trigger and do something, right? And here's the thing. You are not limited to spell traps that mention the ritual. You can take any spell traps. I mean, I don't know if you want to play this card, play those cards in this deck, but you can take cards like Waking the Dragon. You can take Transaction Rollback, whatever. You know, if you want to play those cards. Maybe you don't want to play those cards. Who knows? Maybe you just play cards that are like better if you draw them. Like, yeah, Black Goat Laughs maybe is a better example. You know, I don't know if you would play cards like Waking the Dragon just for this card, but maybe you would. Who knows? Maybe you would. So you basically negate your opponent's effect, and you also get a couple of spell traps from your deck. You set them, and if your opponent pops them, you might get a benefit out of it. Also, those monsters are not destroyed like with magical hats. I think it destroys the cards at the end of the battle phase. With this, they will stay on the field, right? They will stay on the field as level 8 dark spellcasters, 0/0 normal monsters, which means you can make all kinds of things with it on the follow-up turn, right? Or yeah, you can do all kinds of things with them. I think you can definitely link with them. I think you can also, yeah, you can overlay them into rank 8. They are normal monsters, and a lot of link monsters require effect monsters, so you can't make everything with them, but it's definitely solid. It's definitely solid stuff you can do with those cards, yeah. This card is good. I think this might be the best card we've read so far. Now, of course, the requirement is you need to already have a monster on the field that mentions the Ritual of Light and Darkness. which means, I mean, there is a couple here, right? You do have a couple monsters, but you do need to get one onto the field before you can use this, but it is a really powerful card. And 3 empty spell trap zones. No, you need 3 empty monster zones. You don't need 3 spell trap zones for this. You need 3 empty monster zones. It's insulation going first for hand traps as well. Yeah, you can dodge stuff like even Ash. You can dodge Ash like you can, if you normal summon this mystical Celtic Sage and your opponent ashes it, you can dodge that with this, right? I think this is the best card we've read so far. This thing isn't once per turn. This thing doesn't need to be once per turn because after you use one, you have no more space for another one. And you also don't have another face-up monster, probably. Yes, in theory, you're correct, but in practice, I think it's going to be very hard to use more than one. Unless one of them gets negated, then yeah, sure. Mind Shuffle, Continuous Trap. You can only use the first effect of this card's name once per turn. You cannot activate this card's first and second effect in the same chain. During either player's turn, you can add a monster that mentions Ritual of Light and Darkness from your deck to your hand, then discard 1 card. Okay. When your opponent activates a card or effect, you can return a level 7 or higher monster you control to the hand. Special 1 monster with a different name from your hand that mentions Ritual of Light and Darkness, ignoring its summoning conditions. I wonder, this is something like, why? Oh, this also says ignoring its summoning condition. Never mind. I thought this one didn't say that and the other one did. Never mind. Okay, so the first thing I'm noticing here is that the little Karibo guy is not actually a disruption on turn 0, right? Because the cards you set with it will not actually do anything, right? Like, yes, you can set the trap and immediately activate it, but that only lets you add a monster, then discard a card. Which, even if you add, you can add like the summon skull and discard it, but then you can just add a ritual monster that doesn't do anything. You can with Harmonia. I mean, okay, all right, sure, yes. It with a lot of luck and a lot of other things going your way, you can pull something off with it. I just mean like on it in itself, this stuff is not interruption, right? In itself, this just allows you to get into your engine a little bit quicker, which is still good. Don't get me wrong. Like, this is still decent. It's just not. It's not something I would consider interruption. So it's okay. Still, it's a good card, but it's not like it's not crazy. The one thing that I don't love about this is that it's once again like surrounding a continuous trap that's going to be awful to draw. It's the same concept with like True Light and Eternal Soul, which is like it's cool because it makes these decks very grindy by nature, because you get this card onto the field and then you activate it over and over and over again. Like, this deck feels like it has very good grind game already. But no, the Karibo cannot activate it from the hand. And it also cannot it cannot activate it from the graveyard either. So if you, like, let's say you draw it and you have the swords, the sage, if you discard it, I don't see a way to get it back. Oh wait, this one places it from the grave. Okay, this one places it from the grave. That makes more sense. Okay, you can discard it. You can discard it and then place it from the graveyard with the ultimate magical swordsman. Yes, that's okay. Yeah, all right. It has some ways to get rid of it if you draw it. You know, you can discard it for the sage and then place it with the swordsman. Okay. And summon skull can put it back into the deck. Yes. Okay. Quite frankly, I'm a big fan of this concept. I'm a big fan of this concept so far. It seems very fun to me. I love the idea of, you know, your opponent has to target your stuff to get rid of it, and then you like start dodging the targeting. You start tagging in and out. You start like, okay, they target the Black Chaos Magician. You bounce it back to your hand, summon out the Black Luster Soldier, get a banish. Then your opponent does something else, and then you go like, okay, let me return my Black Luster back to the hand now and special the Chaos Magician again. You know, I think that sort of stuff is awesome. You can't do this infinite amount of times because they are once per turn, but like if you can cycle in and out of these, is really cool. And then like, yeah, you summon this, you get a spell card back from the grave and so on. I think it's kind of awesome. And for the most part, it's working completely without like negations. The only thing that they have is the ability of the chaos hats to change one effect, which is powerful and is practically a negation, but for the most part, it operates a lot on resources, banishing, destruction. So I think a lot more healthy interactions than other archetypes. And also proper locks on the most powerful effect, which is draw 3, discard 2. This card is very properly phrased, I think. How would you rate this deck from 1 to Mitsurugi? With just these cards so far, I think it is probably going to lack starters a little bit, because neither of the ritual monsters are like can be considered, you know, starters. What do you have? I mean, you have the Kuriboh, which is a starter. You have the Sage, which is a pretty good starter, I would say, if you draw it alongside another card. The Summon Skull alone doesn't do anything. This one is a starter as well, the Chaos Magician. And you could probably pair it with other things as well. Like you could play Fiendsmith in this, because you can Aerial Eater send the Skull Archfiend or something. Like you can probably do things like that. So maybe there's probably ways to make it consistent. So I don't think it's Mitsurugi power level, quite frankly. I do not think it's Mitsurugi power levels. It's decent. I think it's worth a shot. I think it has a chance to be solid, especially if they go down the route of giving it more support. But it's not Mitsurugi level, I don't think. The Overframe Kuriboh can also search the new Kuriboh. Also, Souls can recycle the new Dark Magician, kinda. There's probably other synergies, yeah, because it is ultimately a Blackluster Soldier, Dark Magician, or Chaos archetype thingy. There's probably some other synergies that you can use within these cards. You can use pre-prep as well, which makes it a little weird that did they limited pre-prep in the OCG, or did they ban it? I think they limited it, right? They limited, yeah. Kind of weird they limited pre-prep before they released this archetype. But okay. But technically pre-prep is also a really good card in this deck, right? Habakiri's Fault. I mean, yeah, but they could have hit other cards, is what I'm saying. But yeah. I think it's cool. I like the theme of it. I'm mostly excited that we're returning to some more classic designs in Yu-Gi-Oh! I think this is going to be very attractive for collectors as well. I think there's going to be a lot of people who are going to go crazy over artworks like this. And I think that is important. And I think whether this deck ends up being tier 1 or not is not even that important. But from what I'm seeing here, I wouldn't be mad if it was a good deck. Like I think it's looking kind of fun. So if they make it meta, I wouldn't be mad about it so far. I'm not seeing anything toxic here. I think got some pretty awesome stuff going on. Cool recursion, cool resource loop, proper locks. I got no issues with that. I think it's cool.